Hello and welcome back to another video. And today we're very lucky to have Jack King on, former Preston, Ebbsfleet, Stevenage, Scunthorpe and a lot of other clubs. So we're going to be talking to him about his career. So make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're excited for more interviews with players. So Jack, how you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Just hoping if there's a little bit of an ease on Sunday, but just battling through. What have you been doing? What have you been doing in lockdown to get through the board?
Not too much, to be honest. Bit of fitness work, just keeping myself sort of ticking over. Same as everyone, really. Obviously, we've been quite lucky with the weather, so just getting myself out and about, a bit of bike riding and walking the dog, etc. A few runs. Nothing too major, to be honest. Rinsing Netflix, and that's about it.
What have you been watching on Netflix?
I've been watching the new Chicago Bulls.
Oh yeah, that with Michael Jordan.
Yeah, that's it. So I'm on that in a minute. What else did I watch? Money Heist. Well, I watched a couple of Amazon Prime documentaries actually on the the Man City one. They've done similar ones, all or nothing.
Oh yeah,
ones
I've seen that as well.
Yeah,
on there as well.
Yeah, so some of the NFL teams. So I've watched a few of those as well, which are pretty good.
Decent.
Yeah, so that's about it, really.
Jack, you started your career at Oxford. How did it come around to starting your career? Why football?
Played from a young age. I mean, my dad used to play sort of semi-professionally local, so I always used to watch him play quite a bit. And I think I was kicking a ball from literally no age at all. I was always into it, and it was always something that I really wanted to do. And I think anyone that was sort of friends with me when I was a young lad would always tell you that sort of football was always my main thing. So yeah, played from sort of really young. Never really played for any special teams. Just played for like my school when I was sort of 8 or 9 when I could, and it just took off from there really.
Decent. So we didn't know, but you signed for Swansea at a young age. What was that like moving over to Wales at such a young age?
Yeah, it was quite tough. I mean, I left school I was young for my age as well, so I was only 15 when I finished my GCSEs, and I'd been playing for Swansea for 2 years up until that point, but just playing on Saturdays. I was not training with them because obviously the distance, it was sort of 2.5, 3 hours away, so I was just playing on Saturdays for the games. And then, so left school at 15 and moved over there. It was tough. At that age, obviously, still young in terms of development. And but I had some good digs and I made some good friends up there. So I settled in pretty quickly, and I enjoyed my time up there.
So when you were playing for Swansea, you just had to so when you were at Oxford, you were still living at Oxford, but you had to go to Swansea at the same time.
Yeah, so when I left Oxford, basically the head of Centre of Excellence left Oxford, went to Swansea, and made me the offer to go with him, which things didn't quite work out at Oxford, and I made that move, and he was good with me. To be fair, I was 13 at the time, and he said, "Look, just come down, play your games, and see what you think. Have a look at us, and we'll go from there." And I did all right. I got offered a scholarship, which was pleasing. It was a 2-year scholarship with, at the time, it used to go into a 3rd year as an option. And let's say I sort of jumped at the chance. Obviously, it was always my dream to be a footballer. So, I seen that as my opportunity, and I made the move when I left school.
So if looking back on it now, would you have done anything different at Swansea, or would you just have?
No, I don't think so. I think the reason I left in the end was a classic case. Really, manager didn't really fancy me. I had a number of managers in my time there in the first team. It was a bit of a sort of turbulent time for the club, and I was in favour for the first probably 18 months to 2 years of my contract there, and I got offered a 3rd year contract, which I took. And in that 3rd year, manager I think he's now at Wrexham, Brian Flynn, who came in and just didn't fancy me. That's just the way football goes. I sort of pretty much knew from early that he didn't rate me, and that saw my time come to an end there. Which these things happen. It's part of football, and it happens a lot. And thankfully, I managed to recover from that and come again.
So what was it like? Obviously getting a fresh start. Obviously going from an academy down to Didcot again. Was that a bit of a culture shock?
It's tough. I mean, I'm grateful I've done it now, because I look back and think that it really helped me in my career. You know, at the time I wanted to stay professional, and you know, I wanted to go on trial at other clubs, etc. But because I was obviously Swansea registered with the Welsh FA and not the English FA, so I couldn't get international clearance to play in England. So at the time, I had to do a youth loan into Didcot Town. I could play non-league football in England, which is what I did. I played for the rest of the season at Didcot, and you know, I really enjoyed it. At that time, I started working to get a bit of money, and you know, one thing led to another. And when the summer came round and it was time that I could have gone on trial, I didn't really fancy doing it. I sort of, like I say, I'd been earning money and I was enjoying my football, so I stayed where I was.
So you actually, I saw on Wikipedia it said you went to Bristol Rovers, but you couldn't sign because of the Welsh FA thing.
Yeah, that's it. So I went there I trained for a week. I was supposed to play in a reserve game there, and turned up to the game, and obviously having them trying to register me to play in the game, it turned out that I couldn't play, which I didn't obviously know at the time. But yeah, so that was obviously the reason why I had to sign for a non-league club, and Didcot was my local team, and you know, at the time they were doing well.
So you obviously stayed at Didcot for a reasonably long time for a talented young player. Why did you obviously did you have offers when you were at Didcot to move up, or did you want to stay at Didcot?
Not straight away. It took a few years. I had one or two offers towards my later stages at Didcot to go full time, but you know what it's like in the lower leagues, in League One, League Two, in Conference. Or in the National League now. It's not easy, and it's not littered with money, and it's not littered with massive opportunities. At the time, the clubs that were coming in, I didn't really feel were massively ambitious. They were either lower down the leagues or at the top end of not really looking to get promoted. So I just didn't think it was right for me, and I always believed in my ability. I felt that if I waited my time, that the right club would come along, and obviously that's how it turned out in the end.
So you obviously played academy football, and then you moved into non-league. Did you find a real difference in football? Obviously, it's different leagues and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think there's a massive difference. In academy football is geared towards not necessarily results based, and geared towards more of a development. But I actually found that when I started playing men's football, and that's when I really learned about the game. I learned how to win a game and those sort of things, which are key, and they stand you in really good stead in your career. I really felt in my first sort of 18 months to two years in the playing senior football that I probably learned more than I did in the previous sort of 5 or 10 years playing academy football. Technically, I think it gave me a good base to work from in the academies, but I certainly look back on that time in my early years of playing senior football and would say that that really kicked me on, and I developed sort of greater pace when I was playing in non-league.
Yeah. So as you've said, you obviously had offers to go up. Then you went to Farnborough and Woking. We had a really good time. Why do you think you were so successful in those years?
When I got the call from Farnborough, and basically the manager said, "Look, this is a project here. We're looking to get back into the Football League as quickly as we can, or get into the Football League as quickly as we can. I'm signing a team here on 2-year deals that's going to win us this league, and it's going to win us the league above." Which obviously that ambition and that confidence really struck home with me. I knew a few of the players they'd signed for higher leagues, which I knew were good players, and I decided to go with that. We'd won 2 promotions at Didcot in 3 seasons, and that was obviously pleasing. But for development for myself, I thought I needed to move on to better myself, and that's how it turned out. I went to Farnborough. We won the league pretty comfortably. We had a good side. We played some great football that year, and I still believe that side probably could have coped in League Two fairly comfortably at the time. It was that good. We made 1 or 2 additions the next year, and towards the end of the season, it just fell apart a little bit. The club decided to go in a different direction and wanted to go full time, which obviously at that level and we had quite a lot of experience in the side, a lot of lads who'd had established jobs and stuff. So going full time was never really an option for a lot of them lads. I mean, I could have done it personally if I wanted to, but in the end, the team fell apart the following season. I don't think there was one squad member left due to them going full time, which, you know, everyone wanted to stay with at the time, which was Tuesday night training, Thursday night training, and the game on a Saturday. So that all sort of fell apart a little bit, but you know, it was a successful time. We ended up losing in the playoff final to get promoted into the National League.
Yeah,
actually, obviously to Ebbsfleet. But yeah, so it was a funny time towards the end of that season. But you know, we had a very good side there, and I think people still talk fondly of the players that we had there. I know obviously Darryl was there with me. You know, we had a good side. So again, I managed to get Player of the Year that year. Pretty successful, and say 1 or 2 offers came in, which again weren't quite right. So it was time to move on, and that's when I found myself at Woking, who were again looking to get promoted back out of the Conference South, and things went from there really.
Obviously, part of the title-winning team at Woking, was that a good experience?
Yeah, definitely. I think anyone will tell you, no matter what level you play at, footballers just want to win things. You know, if you offered me to play, you know, in the Southern League Premier and win the league, or be in a Conference South relegation fight, I would take the league below and, you know, winning things. It's footballers want to win things. Football's always more enjoyable, you know, when you are winning. And you know, obviously with Woking, it was a successful season all round. Really, we won the league. We actually won the double. I think we won the one of the county cups. And yeah, again, good successful season. I made it into the team of the year that year, and you know, in the end we ended up winning that league pretty comfortably.
And eventually you made your big break in the Football League at Preston. What was it like being part of a winning side that went on to win the playoffs and go to Wembley?
Yeah, it was good. You know, obviously the move came about sort of over a period of time. I heard about their interest in me in January when I was at Woking, and you know, they said they would revisit in the summer, which they did. You know, Gary Hill was good enough to let me go up there and train while I was still contracted with Woking, which was good of him. And yeah, when I went up there, it was, let's say, I think the thing that strikes you the most is the history of the club and the size and the fan base, etc. It's, you know, it's a big club, and that, I think in the end, that was what I was waiting for. You know, to go full time at a club like Preston, which had the ambition and you know, had the stature that I was looking for, and it was a good fit in the end. And obviously, a team that was all looking to get, you know, promoted back into the Championship. And you know, third time of asking, we managed to do that.
Was it difficult, obviously, moving up from the National League South to League One?
It turned out okay. I mean, it was a bit of an unknown. Obviously, their fans were not going to get too excited by signing someone out of non-league football. You know, at the time, it was obviously sort of 8 or 9 years ago. It was not quite as sort of regularly occurring as what it is now. You know, I think obviously Jamie Vardy making the move and doing so well has sort of set a bit of a precedent. And I think obviously with the money in the game, more and more people are looking for bargains in those leagues. So, but at the time, it didn't happen quite as much. And you know, I don't think their fans were too impressed by my signing when they'd heard about it. It was a sort of mid-20s player coming up sort of 3 or 4 leagues, and but you know, I think I'd like to think I sort of proved them wrong. I did okay that season. You know, I think I was one of the top appearance holders in that team, and despite it, you know, we're not being as high up the league as we wanted to. You know, it was sort of personally, it was pleasing to get so many appearances on the board in, you know, my first season in league football.
Was it difficult at the end of that spell, after obviously in the Wembley season, to not play at Wembley after obviously playing?
Yeah, it's obviously difficult. You want to feel part of that success. You know, I played probably 26, maybe 30 games that season. So, but I played most of them early on in the season. You know, if you'd given me the choice and said you were going to play that many games, you'd have took the last group of games rather than the first lot. So yeah, it's obviously disappointing not to play. You want to be playing, but you know, I still feel I played my part. Obviously, having made quite a few appearances that season, and it was still obviously pleasing to get the promotion that we all wanted.
You've went on to be a captain in League One at Scunthorpe. What an experience that is.
Yeah, I think, you know, I like to think I've always been, you know, a leader. I sort of speak my mind, and you know, I've always had a good relationship with the players. I've always got on well with the players. So I think those are all qualities that you need in a good captain. And you know, as I got older and my experience become greater, I think, you know, managers must have seen that in me. I generally had a good relationship with all the managers I played under, and you know, it's obviously pleasing, and I'm proud to say I've captained those clubs, and it's just continued really throughout my career. Obviously, you know, finishing at Ebbsfleet.
After that season, you went down to Stevenage. Was obviously they were a solid Stevenage team? Was that good to be a part of?
Yeah, they you know, I went on loan originally there because I wasn't getting enough games at Scunthorpe. So when they're on loan, I spoke with Darren Sarr, their manager, who was sort of fairly new to being first team management at the time, and you know, he outlined his beliefs and what he wanted from me, and you know, it seemed like the perfect fit. It was obviously closer to home for me, being based sort of around Oxford, which was nice, as I'd been away for quite a while, and you know, it really worked out well. We had a very good side, to be honest, that year. We were probably could and probably should have got into the playoffs. We had a very small squad, which you know, we were right. I think we made it up into about fourth with only not too many games to go. But in the end, obviously, our talisman, who was Matty Godden, obviously well known to Ebbsfleet fans, was on fire that season, and he got an injury which we didn't really have a replacement for. To be honest, we had a pretty small squad, like I say, and we didn't manage to replace him for those final games, and we just fell away, which was obviously disappointing. But certainly we had a very good squad. We played some good football as well. Yeah, really, I enjoyed my time at Stevenage.
Would you say the season after kind of struggled without Matty Godden, the second season?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we made a few changes. We went. I mean, the model at Stevenage is different from a lot of clubs in that, you know, player development and, you know, bringing lads through the youth team is, you know, higher on the list of priorities than maybe you know, getting promotion, really pushing on. So you know, we went with a lot of a younger side that season. We had a lot of youth in the team, which with youth often comes a lot of inconsistency, and that's sort of how we were that year. We played some great games, but we also had some bad games. And I know, you know, we had the experienced players that we did have at the time were a bit in and out with injuries, which obviously doesn't help. So you know, Darren moved on, and you know, they brought Dino Marmria in, who steadied the ship a bit. But yeah, it was a disappointing season on the pitch. You know, we finished lower than what we should have. But yeah, certainly say I look back over those 2 seasons and say I enjoyed my time at the club. It was a friendly club, and you know, really welcoming to
me. So after Stevenage, you moved to Ebbsfleet. What ambitions did Darryl give you for Ebbsfleet? Because obviously we'd come off of you know, the season before we got to the playoff semi-finals. Was it the same again? Did he want the same again, or?
Yeah, of course. You know, I spoke with Darryl a couple of times, and he just said, "Look, if you want to drop down out of the league, you can, you know, come and see me. There'll be something here for you." And I ummed and ahed about it. I wasn't sure about dropping out of the league at the time, to be honest. I wanted to stay in the league, but again, clubs that I had spoke to, I didn't really feel had too much ambition. But Ebbsfleet showed me that when I came down. Darryl was positive about the club, and I spoke to Matty Godden as well, who you know, spoke fondly of his time there, and you know, really said what an ambitious, progressive club it was. So in the end, that's what made my mind up for me, to be honest. And I say I'd heard good things about Darryl's coaching, and you know, a lot of the lads there. So that was what made my mind up, and obviously signed my deal when I was there.
I remember we went to Wrexham, and you obviously made a mistake, and then you got left out of the cold. Was that a bit hard? Obviously, just when Darryl was struggling with it.
It's tough to take. As a player, it's always tough when I played. I don't know how many games on the spin, probably 10 or 12, I'd imagine. Hadn't missed a minute up until that time, and we played against Wrexham. We were poor for the first half, really poor. One of the poorest we'd been as a team right up until that point, and it was one of them games where just everything they looked like they were going to score every time they went forward. I had a poor first half personally, really poor, as did a lot of players, and it was disappointing. But second half we did okay. I think we were 4-0 down at half time and maybe lost 4-1 or something like that. We did okay second half. And personally, I thought I did okay as well. Obviously, fully understand changes after that game. You can't, you have to change things after a 4-1 defeat. But it was just a manner I got dropped in. He didn't really speak to me, which I thought sort of I was owed slightly as a senior player. And all you want is some honesty. If Darryl would have come up to me and just said, look, I didn't think you were good enough last week, and I'm making changes, I would have accepted it. But nothing was said, and I was dropped on the day of the game, which was obviously disappointing. I thought I'd had a sort of decent start to the season. To get dropped, for sort of one bad half, I thought was a bit harsh. But these things happen. We went a different way, and it didn't quite work out. We didn't pick up too many points in the next few games. I think we maybe won one game out of the next 4 or 5. I think it was Dagenham, Dagenham away, one of the only games we'd won.
We won out of that period, yeah.
Yeah, so I was just really waiting my chance to get back in. I was professional, and I trained hard. It's just one of those things. These things happen in football, and I think that's when you see the people that are professional and go about their business in the right way. I think in the end they get rewarded, and I feel like I did that. I came back into the team when the managerial change happened, and Gary got the job, and I'm thankful for him to bring me back in the team. And I like to think I repaid him with some good performances going on then for the rest of the season.
So as you mentioned, was it good having Gary back managing you?
Yeah, obviously it helps that you've worked with him before. I had a great relationship with him at Woking, and he was always honest with me, and he was always fair to me, and that's all I ever asked from a manager. Like I say, he was very good to me at Woking, and when he came in, he just asked me why I wasn't playing, and I explained I'd been dropped, and that was that. I was fully fit, and that was it really. He showed faith in me by putting me back into the team, and we picked up a few good results, and our form was pretty good going on. And it was just a shame we couldn't quite finish the job towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I remember one of my highlights that season was the win against Leyton Orient. You just got one of those goals. That was a brilliant game.
Yeah, we had a good side. There's some great individuals in that team. There was no secret about that. We were lower in the league than what we should have been at the time, and it shows that we took 4 points off Orient that season, and they went on to win it. So I certainly think we had a good enough side for promotion that year, and it was just unfortunate we missed out in the way we did.
Obviously, on to the next season, that side that obviously finished 8th was kind of dismantled. What was it like being around the team when there was only about 3 or 4 left? Was it?
Yeah, it's obviously tough. Whenever you have a big turnaround in player recruitment, it's tough. When you bring in sort of 15, 20 new players, some are going to be hits, some are going to be misses. That's just the nature of football. Not everyone's going to come in and do well. Some players don't fit in at clubs, etc., etc. So it was always going to be tough. Pre-season went pretty well. We were looking pretty strong, I thought. In hindsight, maybe that didn't help us. We worked hard. We thought we were fit enough, etc., and we were raring to go. No, I don't think anyone really envisaged the start to the season that we had. We started really slowly, and we just couldn't buy a win to start with. It didn't help. Obviously, straight away I got sent off. I've only been sent off one other time in my career. In the last sort of 15 years, and to get sent off straight away in the first game of the season in the manner that I did was obviously disappointing, and it didn't help that I was suspended, and we just didn't pick up anywhere near enough points in the opening sort of 10 games, which as you've seen in later on the season, that's meant we're playing catch up throughout.
What was it like in the dressing room when we were obviously struggling with Gary?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you've got confidence in the side, and you've got confidence in the team to pick up the points, but transferring that onto the pitch, and mentally it's tough at any level. When winning becomes a habit, and so does losing. And we were in that habit. I think we lost the first 5 or 6 games on the spin, which is difficult. And in those games, we weren't really competitive in too many either. We didn't get routed by anyone, but also we weren't really ever looking like we were going to win those games. So it's tough. We needed a turnaround, and we needed a change in things. And Gary was working hard off the pitch to get it right. And gradually we did turn it around. We started to pick up a few more points, and we brought 1 or 2 players in, which helped. We were unfortunate as well with injuries. We lost Alex Lawless, who was a key player for us, I think, in midfield. Obviously, in turn, he's not played too many games this year, which I've seen what he can do, and I think that was a big miss for us. I think his leadership and his abilities in the middle of the pitch to manage a game would have really helped us going on this season if we could have got him out on the pitch a bit more.
And then obviously Kev came in. What was it like when obviously Kev got the job and we actually started hit some form?
Yeah, of course. I don't think Kev probably expected to get the job when he first came. He came in to help with the coaching. It sort of fell into his lap really, and he took it with he grasped it with both hands. It was a lot different. He wanted to play a different style of football, and he's got a different style of management to Gary. Gary's been around for a long time, and Kev was obviously new to it, so it was going to be a big change for everyone. But I think you see the players responded. They were given their all for the team, as they did with Gary throughout the time. And I think his points record's been pretty good in his time since being a full-time manager.
As we said, obviously we have struggled at times this season, but we've hit a real good run of form just as the season's come to the end. Obviously, you've had a great game at Halifax. We've obviously started to get some clean sheets as well. What was that like, obviously, finishing that season there?
Yeah, it's like I say, it is frustrating when you're not picking up the points, when the side are capable. If the side are not capable and you're not picking up points, there's not much you can do about it. But when that there's enough in that dressing room to get ourselves up that league, that's when it's frustrating. And it was pleasing to start picking up the points that we thought we deserved. And I could probably name you 2 or 3 games just off the top of my head that we deserved to win or get points out of that we didn't. Eastleigh springs to mind. In games like that. So, it's obviously disappointing when you're not as high up the league as what you're expecting. But certainly we were hitting form at the right time, and the break or the end as it is now came at the wrong time for us. Obviously no one knows how the season is going to play out, but we would certainly, if it does turn out that we get relegated, I certainly feel how unfair it would be given the form we were in and the premature end to the season. We fully expected to get out of those relegation spots, and I think everyone could see that we were heading in that direction.
Yep.
So obviously now at the end of this season, you've decided it's time to retire. What were the key factors in that? Why?
Age. I'm pretty old now, which doesn't help. I'm 35 this year, but no, I'm fit enough to carry on, to be honest. I've had an ongoing knee issue for the last, ever since I was 18, 19, which has gradually got worse and worse. But that's not in the end been my decision why. It's more sort of off the field matter. My career, what I'll be going into in groundworks and building after football was sort of played a big part. My dad's not getting any younger now, who runs the company. So I just felt it was time to move on. I'd been thinking about it when I left Stevenage before I signed at Ebbsfleet, whether it was time to hang them up then and carry on, or carry on playing. And I just made that decision sort of a year, 18 months ago. Really, I thought I'd see my career out here. I'd rather retire, playing to an okay standard than being wheeled off the pitch and crippled. So that's the case now. I still feel I could. I spoke with the gaffer, and he obviously wanted me to stay, which was pleasing to hear. But I just thought the timing was right. It's difficult times in football at the moment. Obviously, with everything that's going on for our contract players and for teams right across the board, it's a lot of teams are going to have to batten down the hatchet and tighten the purse strings a little bit, in the off season, and who knows how long that's going to last. So I just thought the timing was right, and once I made my decision, I stuck by it.
Obviously for Fleet, you've played a lot in the centre back, but obviously at Preston and other clubs, you played sort of more of a centre mid role. What would you say is your better role as a player?
Everyone will probably tell you something different. I mean, I played predominantly all my career in centre midfield. I was more of a goal scorer in centre midfielder when I got my move to Preston, and throughout non-league at Farm. Yeah, for Didcot and Farnborough, I scored quite a lot of goals, and that's where I sort of played predominantly. I got thrown in at centre back 1 or 2 games, probably because of my size. I was obviously fairly stocky and I'm nearly 6'2", so I think I got put in at the back for those reasons and did all right. So I think probably if I would probably say centre back is my best position. Certainly now midfield, probably not mobile enough really to play in the higher leagues. Midfield as my career went on, but certainly at the time, midfield was my best position when I was playing there. But as my career went on, started becoming gradually less and less mobile. I think centre back was probably my main position.
Okay, can we go through your best 11? We're running out of time with the free.
Yeah. So best 11 of players I've played with.
Best 11 you played with.
Yeah. Okay. So in goal, Sam Johnson. He's now at West Brom, I believe. Was on loan to us from Man United at the time when I was at Preston. Just good goalkeeper. Like not flappable. Just comes, does the basic, does everything right. Everything I like in a keeper when I'm playing in front of someone. Not too extravagant. Just does the right things, and obviously it's paying dividends for him now. I think he's one of the best goalkeepers in the Championship still now. So Sam Johnson there. Ronnie Henry at right back, I would have. He's at Billericay now. I played with him towards the end of his career, and he was, even then, you could see the quality that he had. He was a real winner. He was a captain as well. I would like to have played with him a few years earlier, and probably vice versa. He would have liked to have played with me a few years earlier as well, because we had a good understanding. He's a leader of men as well off the pitch, and just a great player. 2 centre backs. I would have Bailey Wright and Tom Clark. Both were at Preston at my time. Tom Clark's still there, and Bailey Wright is now captain at Bristol City. Both just warriors, really. Nothing, amazing technically. Just very, very good defenders. I would hate it to have played against them. If I was up front, I was obviously playing striker a bit at Preston when I was there, and in training, those two used to mark me either or, and always give me a difficult time. They're just outstanding defenders, in the air, just defenders. They both, celebrated defending as much as a striker celebrated scoring a goal. So both warriors, and both very good defenders. Left back, Connor Townsend. I played with him at Scunthorpe. He's now moved on to West Brom as well. Still in sort of relatively early speaking stages of his career. I think he'll kick on and really establish himself in that team. He had everything. He was good going forward. He was good defensively. Just had everything you'd want in certainly a modern fullback. Midfield, I'll go for a midfield 3. So I'd have left side Paul Gallagher. Gally was at Leicester, Plymouth, all over really. Came to us on loan originally from Leicester. Just probably the best right foot I've seen in football in my time. Just no messing really on the wing. No outstanding pace. Just a good athlete, and all he did, he had a shimmy and a quality of right foot that you needed. He put it on a sixpence for the striker every single time. His passing ability was second to none. And again, good lad off the pitch as well. So Probably the most quality I've seen passing range out of anyone I've ever played with. Then got John Welsh holding midfield. Welsh, he was again at Preston, came from Liverpool, played in the Premier League. He just a warrior. He defensively, I say he could pass, he could tackle. I think his passing got overlooked quite a bit, but his tackling was his main thing. He just broke up play so well. He's a defender's dream. Playing in front of you, you know, you'd give your right arm to have someone like that playing in front of you every week because he does your job for you. And he was as much as the two strikers that I've actually got in, he was as much a part of why we got promoted that season as Beckford was. What's, you know, scoring the goals, who got all the headlines. And I got Alan Brown, my old housemate Alan Brown. He's at Preston now. Still relatively young, and he'll play in the Premier League one day without a doubt. He's a Republic of Ireland international. He first came over from Ireland, from Cork, and you know, no one thought anything about him. He was slight, he was skinny, he was just a real quiet lad. But he's evolved into one of the best players in that league. He scores goals, he gets up and down, he's good in the air, he can again play anywhere. And I've no doubt that, you know, one day we'll be seeing him playing in the Premier League regularly for someone. Front three, I've gone for, so I've got Joe Garner, a good friend of mine, top lad off the pitch. What a menace. Doesn't score as many goals as he should really in the Championship because he's doing all the doggy work. He runs channels. He's a pain in the arse. He's not tall at all. He's not big built, but he's unbelievable in the air. He just gets up. He hangs. He's a problem. He's nasty. He's one of those players that when you know play against him, you think he's an idiot, but when he's in your team, you're thankful because you know he gives you everything. And again, his goals that season we got promoted were a major factor. Playing off him, we got Jermaine Beckford. Speaks for itself. He's had an unbelievable career, and the reason he's had that is because he's a big game player. He stepped up in the time that he came to us and delivered when we needed him most. And obviously a hat-trick at Wembley sums it all up for me with him. He's not the best trainer in the world, but when it mattered on a pitch on a Saturday, or you know when the cameras were there, he stepped up and he did the business. And Lee Trundle, played with Trundle at Swansea and Preston. He was at the end of his career, but still you could just see the quality he had. His left foot and his touch. I've not really seen anyone other than probably Danny Kedwell. Balls going into the striker. I've not seen anyone with touch like his before. It sticks, and you know nothing bounces off him. He's reliable on the ball, and again, he's had a fantastic career. He's a top guy, and the quality that he brings to the team, you know, second to none.
Just before Zoom kicks us off, I've got a time up here saying 1 minute. Who have you got managing that team?
Managing,
would it be Grayson?
No, not really. Tricky one. I'd probably say Graham Alexander. I didn't play much for him, but I just think most of what he said, I believe was right. If you had Graham Alexander with Darren Salas as assistant, I think you're not going to go too far wrong with those two. They're both, I think, the modern day manager, and you know, they managed the way that I would want to be managed.
All right, big thanks for that, Jack. Make sure you leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. So thanks for that, Jack.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you, Jack.
We wish you all the best in the rest of what you're doing. The rest, yeah.
Career.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks for that.
Man, thank you. All the best.
Cheers.
All the best. Cheers.